So, Mark, I've been talking a lot about traveling in retirement. So I'm curious if you have any thoughts on what traveling looks like in retirement.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on that, but I didn't know you were retiring. Like, we're just kicking this thing off. The show's just getting started. You're ready to go. It's funny though, because you and I were having a conversation earlier about this, and this is why I'm enjoying having a different generation host on here with me. Because, you said something pretty impactful that I think a lot of people watching this right now would love to understand. But you talked about your runway right now is 5-6 years. And you say, well, what do you mean by that? Well, what he means by that is he has now put himself in a lifestyle where him and his wife and new child could have a 5 to 6 year hiatus from work and life not change.
That's correct. Yep.
It's awesome. Yeah. It's awesome. It's just at your age to be able to do that. So many young people right now would love to be able to say that. Listen, there's people in my age group that would like to be able to say that. And unfortunately, but that's how it's supposed to be done, so that when you get to this idea of retirement, you can have this, and you said travel lifestyle. And I think you and your wife have been talking about that. What would that even look like? Well, the idea of living large and living large radio, living large television, we're syndicated, we're everywhere now. But it's this idea that retirement is so much more than finance. Yes, you have to have money. That's how you're going to be able to do things like travel. But there's so many more things that you want available to you that don't involve necessarily just the money part of retirement, like being able to go travel, like being able to do things. So when you think about this idea of a retirement lifestyle, well, the first thing you would want to think about is, what are we talking about here? Are we traveling overseas?
Sure.
Would that be yours?
I think for us, I would want to travel overseas. We've been to Italy once. It was amazing. I
Crazy
love that
good
experience.
Place. I love it. I love travel.
The Amalfi Coast we did the moped thing on there, and that was really cool. So I'd like to integrate different portions of going to see the world. The Asian cultures. Going over to Japan or Thailand, and I think that would be something I'd want to do specifically in retirement. I say in retirement.
Yeah.
Living the retirement
lifestyle. Whatever that looks like. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but for others, it would be, I think about one of my clients, that's doing the RV thing. I have several doing that.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
I've got a really cool client that we picked up in another state. I think they're Ohio. And they were actually driving through the Carolinas, taking their daughter down to Clemson University.
Sure.
And started listening to our radio show. And next thing you know, they reached out and they actually became a client. And one of the reasons I know they did was because I did understand them. Now, it's crazy what they're doing. They literally, this couple, early 60s, sold everything. When I say everything, I'm talking about the house, the cars, everything. And they bought a 42-foot Katie Corrigan, whatever it is, some kind of round-the-world vessel. And they've been on the high seas now for over 4 years. And when they call and set up the reviews and things, I have no idea where they're coming from.
Sure.
But they had intended on doing this for 5 years, so they're getting close to that. I think in 25 it will become the 5th year. But they say they may do 2 or 3 more, and then they're going to sell the boat, and they're going to buy a retirement place somewhere and start over.
Yep, sure.
And but what an amazing, think about these 4 years this couple has had. And they were able to do this. But when you think about this, like I put in, I love AI. I use ChatGPT and the other ones. It's out there. It's out of the box. You might as well see what it has to say.
Sure.
And one of the first things it started with was traveling in retirement can be fulfilling way to spend your time. Yeah. But there's some things you better consider before you set off for the big travel. And I love this. And it uses the word that we don't use on this show, budget. That's terrible. Who wants, you work so hard. And listen, Dave hates it when I say this. Dave Ramsey, I'm a Dave Ramsey certified, whatever they call me this week. Been with him for years. But I don't like the word budget. I think it's ridiculous. I hate that word. I didn't work so hard in my life to now have to live on a budget.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Nope.
I have a spending plan.
We want to spend it.
I have a spending plan.
What are you going to spend? That's right.
Right. I have a spending plan. Now, it's just a play on words, but it sounds so much more empowering to know that I have a plan of how I can spend my money. Yeah. Is it still just a budget? Yeah, it is, but it sure sounds better. Spending plan. We have a spending plan of how much we can spend while I'm working, meaning we're paying ourselves first. I pay myself first. That's the savings part. And then I spend. And it really works well for me.
It's a really good positive spin on words.
It is.
Right? Because like you want to turn that into a positive thing. Because guess what? Sometimes it's not. Sometimes spending is hard.
It is.
Right? Like it's a challenging thing to do. But at least
It's challenging for people in retirement.
Totally.
Let me tell you why. People say, well, no, it's very hard because you've been saving
Your whole life. Yep.
your whole life, and now you don't save anymore. You spend. Now, you want to know you're not going to run out of money, but you still want to be able to travel. Let's talk about travel. That's what this episode's about.
Yeah.
So you want to do it in the go-go years.
You do.
That's typically, you retire at 62. Let me tell you, 62 to 75 is going to be way better than 75 to 85,
Sure.
in my opinion.
I think so. I mean, it's interesting because Sarah's parents, so my wife, her parents are 71 and 72.
Okay.
And you can kind of see them slowing down a little bit.
Yep.
But they are very avid. Like they've been traveling a lot and they've been backpacking. And
Yeah,
they've got
love
the pickleball
that.
thing going.
Sure.
So they're very active and like
Love that.
This is like very much a part of their retirement.
Right.
But they're definitely slowing down a little bit
Yeah.
for sure.
Things are changing.
Exactly. And so their retirement's going to look a little bit different as they're slowing down. And they may travel more, but they may do a different type of travel. Because the RV life, well, when you look at that, like I think that's a little bit more involved. You have to set up the RV and make sure your water and your electricity and all those
but it's
pieces
fun.
are good.
Taking your house with you.
You're super flexible, right?
Yeah.
You can move
Love it.
anywhere all the time. And I think that's amazing. But there is a little bit of work that comes to that.
There is.
So it makes sense that they're trying to find a spot that's maybe a little bit less work so that they can enjoy it in a different way.
Well, as they head from the go-go years to the slow-go.
Logo.
And then you get to the no-go. That's that 85 to 95. So, all right, so let's give some real tips here. And listen, if you've made it this far in this video, then guess what? You know you like us. Go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. They always tell me I have to say that because it does help the channel and we really need it. And if you don't like me, hit it anyway because I appreciate it. All right, so here's the deal. Let's talk about this. So one, we need a spending plan, a plan that allows us to use our money in the go-go years, 62 to 75, knowing we're not going to be out of money in the no-go years. Okay, we're going to need that. Now, Medicare, health insurance. Hold on a second. Medicare usually does not cover health care outside of the United States. You may need to, in your spending plan, we may need to put in a category for other health insurance if you're going to spend time outside of the United States. And again, this is stuff that let me tell you, your big box retail planner, your banker, whoever you work with, the big box on the corner thing, they've never talked to you about this. That's why many people find they have to change from their loved and trusted advisor to one that is more suited to fulfill and help them when they get into this stage of life, because there's a lot of things we have to look at. So we have to plan ahead. We have to think about what are the goals? What do you want to do over this next 10 years? What traveling do we want to do? Let's get a checklist. Let's look at what it's going to cost. If we're buying the RV, okay, which one are we buying? The one that's the tag axle diesel Newmar and it's $1.2 million? Are we buying the one that's gas powered and it's $250,000? Sure. And how does this fit in our spending plan? Not our budget, our spending plan. And the right planners can do this for you where they're doing a what if scenario. What if we spend $1 million on this RV and we expect it to depreciate at this rate, and 5 years later we're going to sell it? This is the loss we took on it, but it's not a loss. You had transportation, you had it. But whatever. What does it bring back into the portfolio at that time that we sell it? And we project these things out and see if it makes sense to do that before we just go do it. It may be a travel trailer and a pickup truck. Sure. There's a lot of ways to do this, okay? Now, we have to think about that. We have to think about how do we take advantage of discounts. Everybody likes a discount.
Coupons, let's go.
Well, let me tell you, I don't want you cutting coupons in retirement unless that's your jam. If that's what you want to do.
Some people like that stuff.
Listen, I remember, I'm dating myself. I remember we had the S&H green stamps. So, hey, comment on this if you even know what I'm talking about. S&H green stamps. I remember licking those things, taking the sponge and wiping the back of them and putting it in the book and filling up book after book with S&H green stamps. Put that in the likes and the comments there. All right, so take advantage of discounts. What I'm talking about is there's many places you can get huge discounts. Amtrak is one of them, 10% off when you're 65 and older. In Europe, you can take advantage of discounts. Traveling in the United States, many ways to take advantage of discounts. How about this? Consider group travel. Now, look, personally, I don't want the groups. When we take one of the riverboat cruises and stuff that my wife do, and they have all these signed activities and stuff, very rarely do you see me in that group. I want to go explore my own. However, for many people, they find the best bang for their buck is meeting and socializing with other people and doing the group travel. And you can get some group travel discounts when you want to go to Israel. You take a big group and go. So there's ways to do that. And I think that's a great thing that you should be considering. And obviously, the cruises, people love to cruise. I am not a big fan anymore. I used to love them, but COVID kind of changed all that. I wasn't on a boat, but I saw those people locked up off the shore and stuff. Look, even if you get the big room on the cruise, you're living large. You're taking the biggest room they got. It ain't big enough to lock me up for 2 weeks in it.
That's right.
Now, I could do the place where you go to the all-inclusive,
yeah.
And if they told me I had to quarantine in that big room for 2 weeks and they're going to bring me my food and I'm getting to look at the beach, yeah, I might be able to figure that out.
Yeah.
But the cruise, but hey, riverboat cruises, great way to do stuff. Consider active vacations. This has really become popular. Yoga retreats, active vacations where you can work on your physical and mental health. Because let me tell you, you've got to keep up with that, including in the retirement days. It's great to have couples go do these things, and you may not be as interested as you think, but I've personally done the yoga on these things, and let me tell you, it's pretty darn incredible. Good experiences.
Well, and you're really touching on the fact that there's these 5 points that you have to hit, right?
Yep.
You have your family, you have your fitness, you have your faith, you have friendship, and then you have finance, right?
That's
and
right.
all those things coming together
Makes
really,
for
really
a
valuable.
wonderful retirement.
Exactly. You have to put them all together. You cannot miss one of those. And I think travel is kind of impacting all of them in a different way.
It does.
Because you do need to figure out your fitness while you're traveling. And so there's some logistical stuff that you have to go through. But ultimately, I think there's a lot of different ways to tackle this one. And
there's many.
You just got to make it
but here's
what
the
works
thing,
best for you.
But make sure you do it. If this is what you want to do, let's build a plan so you can do it. So many people die with dreams. Make 2025 the year you agree that you're going to die with memories. Ain't none of us getting out of here alive. We're all going to die at some point. Die with memories, not dreams. Hey, if you liked this content, please hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you again on another amazing episode of Living Large Retirement.